recording, so everyone go on their best behavior. So
That'll be $5, please.
there we go. So I
I was going to make a
recognize,
bad joke, Lori, but I'm holding off.
oh, there you go. Looks like you're still at work, Aubrey, so don't make any bad jokes just yet.
No,
So
I'll behave myself.
Oh, that's no
awesome.
fun.
All right. So thanks everybody for joining. We're going to jump in just a second. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean McCullough. I try to help out doing some of these programs here at ATD Greater Philadelphia. But of course, we could not bring you these programs if it wasn't for our sponsors. So we want to take a minute to thank our sponsors. And of course, if you're interested in any of our programs, you can go ahead. I will pause for a second. You can check out our website, or you can go ahead and scan that QR code with your phone. But we are going to jump in shortly with Diane Kubel. I'll give you a second to just kind of gloss over her bio. As you can see, she has a lot of time, over 20 years, working with consultants, doing what she's going to talk about. So didn't just jump into this willy-nilly the other day. But we're really excited because when we think about blended learning, at least when I was a new instructional designer back in the day, and we talked about blended learning, it was a lot of keep everyone in the classroom, but let's try out some of this e-learning stuff. And that's not really what blended learning is about. And I think we've come a long way. I'm going to kick it over to Diane, and she's going to talk a little bit about how her company approaches blended learning.
All right, thank you, Sean. Great to be here with ATD Philadelphia. And I love to help consultants and thought leaders like all of you create high impact blended programs without getting stuck in the technology learning curve. And so today we'll explore how the world of corporate learning has evolved and what that means for external consultants. We'll talk about what's actually working and packaging your expertise to scale and increase your impact. So this session is really for those of you who love the energy of in-person work, but you want to scale without burning out or wrestling with technology. So maybe you're maxed out with your time, maybe you've hit a revenue ceiling, and you need a different delivery method or model. So am I sharing my screen? No? Okay.
You actually are
Not yet.
not.
Sorry about that. I thought I was. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, we can now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll focus on external consultants, trainers, and coaches. So if you're an internal person, there still may be some ideas that can apply to you as well. We'll be talking about the key shifts in corporate learning and what clients are looking for, what makes blended learning more effective, and I'll share 5 proven elements that make blended learning more engaging for learners. And I'll give you some examples of consultants who have packaged their expertise into a high impact digital program, and I'll share the results that they've got. So I'd like to just start out by hearing from you. If you could type in the chat, what is the biggest challenge in delivering or scaling your consulting, coaching, or training work right now? You know, maybe it's time, technology. What are you challenged with? Reaching decision makers, time. Time is always the toughest thing because it takes time to develop. Exactly. Getting people to respond. So yeah, getting business is of course always the all-time challenge. And it could be if you have something new and different, more people would want to talk to you, right? Any other comments there? All right. So the landscape has shifted, and that's why we're talking about this now. The world of corporate learning, we know, has changed dramatically, and we've all experienced it. Before 2020, I'm sure most of you were doing learning in person. The pandemic forced everything to be live virtual. And while that worked in the short term, we saw a lot of, Zoom fatigue. You can't take 8 hours of training and put it on Zoom. It just doesn't work. And so now organizations are asking for blended solutions. They need to be flexible, scalable, measurable, and still human. And so we're combining the convenience of digital with the human connection. And that's really the challenge that many of us are having. So tell me, how has your delivery model changed since 2020? What's different? Are you still doing it all in person, fully virtual, or maybe there's some kind of mix of that? Go ahead and type that in the chat. How has it changed? More is done virtually using AI and role plays in addition to self-paced. That's interesting. Let's see, added hybrid now that you have a bigger office. Some want to go back to face-to-face, okay. Virtual for 3 years now, more in person, but virtually predominant. So we're seeing a lot more virtual delivery. Clients seem to be more open to that. It's been easier for business meetings. Obviously, it's a lot less expensive, and you're able to meet clients where they are. Absolutely. So this whole virtual thing, clients are definitely much more open to it now than they used to be. So the client expectations are changing, and there's a new playing field that clients are wanting. They are looking for flexibility for their learners to consume the content on their own time. They're looking for measurable results because they want to see some kind of impact on the business. It may not be as extensive as ROI, but they want to be able to measure something. And they're looking for engaging experiences beyond just a live webinar. Really, the bar has been raised to keep the learner's attention. And these expectations are really redefining how consultants need to design and deliver their learning, whether it's training, consulting, or coaching services. So what have your clients been asking for in terms of delivery methods? I'm going to ask you to annotate by placing an X under any of these that apply. They want live on-site sessions, they want self-paced learning, they want shorter live virtual sessions, maybe a combination, or something else. And Sean is going to give us the instructions on how to annotate. So go ahead, Sean.
Should be, so remember mine's a little different. I think it's the bottom toolbar if you are not a host. Someone confirm.
There is a toolbar. Well, I guess it depends on where you have it, but mine's
Yeah,
at
the
top
host
of
has a
it.
different icon. Looks like a green
Sean,
pencil on
we
mine.
have a green circle, bottom left corner.
Bottom left. Green.
Yeah, there you go. So they're looking for a combination. Yeah, just like I said, some live on sale. So nobody's asking for self-paced because I guess most of the self-paced is happening with their LMS, right? And if you can't figure out annotation, just go ahead and type it in the chat. Mine shows up kind of on the left column of my screen. So some are looking for self-paced. That's interesting. A combination. A couple of them a combination. Yeah. And as time goes on, seeing a lot more of that. what I find is that people really like in-person learning because it's easier and it's more fun. It's just being entertained. They just show up. They don't necessarily have to do anything before they get there. But is easier really what learning is about? If you have a great facilitator who's interested and who's charismatic, but that doesn't necessarily make the learning more effective. And I say that on-site learning is kind of like DoorDash. You get your favorite meal delivered to your doorstep. It's easy, it's delicious, you enjoy it, and it's very satisfying at that moment, right? But afterwards, it's just a great meal. And can you repeat that? Probably not. So a blended approach is more like learning to become vegetarian. You need to learn what to eat to get enough protein. You can test, new foods and recipes. You begin to learn how to make healthy vegetarian meals over time. And you're getting healthier and your good health becomes more sustainable. And recently I went from being vegetarian to wanting to become vegan. And I work with a dietitian. And what I did was I started one meal at a time. So I started with breakfast and I got breakfast down and I started developing some new habits and I was able to sustain that. And then I moved on to lunch and then dinner. And with this dietitian, there was a community. So we had live sessions where people were sharing, what was working for them. We had like a little social community. People were posting things that worked for them. And I was able to lose like 20 pounds. That wasn't necessarily my full goal. And I was able to sustain like 15 pounds of that, it's been more than 6 months now. And so I've been able to maintain a healthier lifestyle. And, I wasn't really like having to be that strict goal of being vegan. I just wanted to be healthier. And so these new habits have to be developed over time. And blended, this approach really forces you into applying the new skills. That's really what it kind of does. So there's a lot of research out there that supports using a blended approach. And here are some statistics that are notable. So 94% of organizations plan to expand their online learning budgets because digital training is really becoming the main mode of education. And micro-learning really helps to increase the engagement rates and completion rates. So social learning and micro-learning, 80 to 85% increase. And as far as learning retention and knowledge retention, you can see here it increases 25 to 60% versus traditional learning formats, which could be just full online learning, or it could be even, just live training, one mode. And then you'll see here that companies that use microlearning see 130% increase in employee engagement and productivity, again, versus the traditional training approach. And microlearning is really a key component of our blended online learning approach. So anything here that surprises you, or what have you seen in your experience? You can go ahead and type that in the chat in terms of your experience or anything that has surprised you. You think microlearning in the flow of work is really effective? Yeah, absolutely. If you can get it in the flow of work, that's the best. Any other comments or thoughts? 130% is a big number for microlearning. Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of surprised about that one as well.
Diane, may I ask a question?
Yes.
It's Larry. The one in the bottom right corner, gamified corporate learning minus 90% completion. Can you expand on that?
Oh, that's just a hyphen,
Oh,
it's just, yeah, it should be just 90%. That's a typo.
sorry
Sorry
about
about that. Yeah.
I thought the same thing, Larry.
Yeah, it makes things a lot more fun and engaging. You'd be surprised, like adults in some of these programs, when we offer some sort of recognition, like a leaderboard, they'll say like, "Oh my God, my name isn't on there, and I finished up to training number 15. How come my name's not there?" And I'm like, "Well, we did it at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you didn't finish till 2 in the afternoon." So yeah, people really love that, or even little silly things like T-shirts and stuff. For some reason, are motivating. Just naturally, people kind of love games and having fun with it. Yeah, sorry for that confusion. So, what do we mean by a blended online course? I just want to be sure we're all on the same page, and I'd like to hear, how do you define blended online learning? Yes, and I would agree that some cases, yeah, partially in person is a big advantage. And so that will be something I'll comment on about the definition of this blended online learning. Go ahead and type in the chat your definition of that. A combination of synchronous, asynchronous, and practical application that's designed based on thorough business and learning needs assessment. Oh, I love that. Very good. Yeah.
Since
Face-to-face
2020,
and technology.
can-
Sorry?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. In my business, IMS, we do leadership development programs, and obviously we've been virtual since 2020. And prior to that, it was all live and in person. But we have, with the online program that we do at least 2 times a week, there's a follow-up email that they receive with a link to all our micro learning sites and videos, and they can view all that afterwards as part of our program. So that seems to work very well for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. Excellent. So I think a lot of you have pretty much a very similar definition to what I have, and I'll share what mine is. I think blended learning is a combination of approaches that are stickier, they create greater impact for the learners, and basically it combines multiple methods that are effective and useful. And we have a continuum that has 30 different methods from asynchronous to synchronous that you can use in any given program. And in a number of our programs, we use 20 or more different methods to make it fun and engaging and stickier. And if anybody's interested in seeing that continuum, let me know and I can share that. It utilizes self-paced, the asynchronous, live virtual, and it could be on site. It could be a combination of all of those. Just because it's blended doesn't mean it wouldn't be on site. And it provides access to you as the expert. And so this is one of the key things that I would like to make sure happens, is that the participants have access to you to get answers to their questions, to get feedback from you as the expert, and that they're interacting with their peers to get support, because especially in an organization where everybody's from the same culture, they understand what works, what doesn't work. So that peer support and peer learning can be very helpful. And then lastly, it deploys a user-friendly learning platform where everything is in one place. So you don't want to have like a Facebook group in Facebook and then, a learning platform where they're getting the content and then emails to get other things. You want them to go to one place, because if it's too hard and time consuming, they're just not going to do it. So what does this look like? So we've identified 5 elements that make blended digital learning more effective and stickier. So it begins with outcomes and deliverables. And so we try to begin with the end in mind. So if you have, like a communication skills training, we don't just call it communication skills. We try to be more specific and package your program focusing on a specific audience, on specific outcomes and deliverables. So we're defining who your program is for, the problem it solves, why it's important to that particular participant and the organization, and we spell out in detail what's in it for them. And then we have micro learning, where there's those bite-sized segments or chunks that can be completed within like 3 to 10 minutes. And it's not just about making things shorter, it's also about sequencing the content to build motivation so they have some kind of sense of accomplishment and momentum. So you might drip the content so everybody in the course is working on the same content at the same time. You can have curated content from different experts. For example, you might have a particular assessment and you have that expert who created the assessment, have a video to explain the results, like the report or something like that. There are interesting visuals to capture people's attention. There can be written reflection questions and, the standard videos, downloadable tools, models, worksheets, and exercises that could be used during the live sessions for breakout room activities and interacting with their peers. And then we have these interactive experiences where we're turning passive learners into real participants. And so this interaction is the bridge between knowledge and application. So we recommend short, interactive, live, or virtual in-person sessions, no more than 2 hours. Social community posting for peer sharing, and that can be before and after the live sessions. There can be personalized written feedback from you as the facilitator or the expert. Maybe there's an AI coaching bot that answers questions. You can have accountability partners to work on activities between the live sessions. So you're pairing people up, obviously quizzes, more reflection questions, and gamification and incentives. And then we look at measurement and momentum, and clients really want to see proof of their investment, making sure that it works. So we always identify competencies for each program. We'll have a pre-test, a post-test, and then 3 months later. So we always try to go to a level 3 evaluation, offering badges to provide recognition and encouragement. They can be downloadable, putting them on their LinkedIn profile. Pattern interrupts, where there's little animations with sound, some fun things, coaching tip sheets for bosses to reinforce the learning. And then, of course, ease and efficiency is really important. So focusing on tools, platforms, and working with partners to simplify your process so that you can stay in your zone of genius. Because you're really not likely to grow your business by learning how to develop a blended online program. Those are new skills. It might be a different area of skill than your expertise. And so having some kind of user-friendly learning platform that's easy for you as well as the learners to use. And it's got obviously a lot of interactivity. So this is how digital learning becomes more meaningful, more manageable, and measurable, both for you and your clients. So I'm going to just share some examples of how we use some of these elements. Do you have a question? Sorry. Okay. So one of the things that we do to identify the outcomes and deliverables is create a mission and vision statement for each program. So we focus on the outcomes and deliverables. So this sample here it's basically a career development program, but we don't call it career development. We always come up with a name for the course. So this is Career Essentials. And we ask a motivating question that identifies a problem. So what if you could tap into a hidden source of energy, power, and personal genius, spending more time doing the things you love and less time trying to articulate what exactly that is? And so this course, the audience is early career high potentials, people who are in their first 5 years of their career. And then the next portion in the mission, we identify the deliverables. So we say your mission is to discover what you do best and understand why, so you can have greater impact and meaning in your current role, improve your employability, and create a talent alignment plan in 3 months. So this is a 3-month program, and it's focused on what's next for each of these high potentials within the organization. So they're basically getting an individual development plan that they're going to execute with their boss over the next 12 to 18 months. So they're doing research inside the organization on what is their next job in promotion. That's kind of the idea. And so you'll see the outcomes and deliverables are this Grainer meeting and impact, and this talent alignment plan. So in terms of micro-learning and interactivity, this is a sample of a page in a course that we have called Best Practices for Leading Hybrid and Remote Teams. And this is the first module of this program, and it's for new managers. And each of these little images is a micro-learning lesson. So we start here with the pretest, or that competency measure, and it has 4 questions on a scale of 1 to 10 to measure where they are now. So that's the first thing that they do when they get into the platform. And it's very simple. It's just a Google survey. Then we have a couple of curated videos here. This one identifies the common challenges of hybrid and remote teams, and there's a downloadable worksheet. They fill that out. That's basically looking at their specific team and what their challenges are. And then the 4th little micro learning is to introduce yourself in the community. And they're introducing themselves, answering some questions about what are the challenges that they're facing as a manager having a hybrid or remote team. So we're getting into the content right away. And so there is a leaderboard, the platform is gamified, there's private messaging between participants and the facilitator, as well as between participants in this social community. And so this program is equivalent to a full day of on-site training. So it has asynchronous components before and after each live session. So there are 2 2-hour live sessions, and it incorporates the DISC assessment. And the DISC assessment does not come in an email. It's one of the training lessons. They click on it, up comes the assessment, they take the assessment, and when they're done, the report pops up, and then they're able to download the report. And the next training, the next little micro learning is a little 13-minute video on how to read your report. So, normally a lot of that kind of stuff is handled in a live session. So right there, you're saving like 15 minutes of going over how to read the report. So this is a pretty robust program, and it goes over about a month of time, 3 to 4 weeks. So here is a sample of measurement of this program, the Hybrid and Remote Teams program. This is real client data. There was a client who had a group of VPs and directors and a group of supervisors and managers who went through this. So this is the combined data results from this Hybrid and Remote Teams program. So you'll see across the bottom are the 4 competencies. So rating your level of understanding of what your team, what team conversations and agreements you need to have, rate your level of awareness of where your team needs to be, have the greatest improvement, recognize where you need to change your mindset and time management strategies, and then rating your level of clarity about how to deal with your employees based on their DISC style. And so this is self-reported data. So the green is the before. You saw that little survey that we had on there. This is the measure before the program. Then the blue is immediately after. And the way that we collect that data is in the second live session. Before the end, we ask them to fill that out. It's only 4 questions. It takes about a minute, but that ensures that we collect the data. And then 3 months later, we do it again, and that's this orange bar. And we typically have the client help us with collecting the 3-month data. And many organizations really like to have this, so they're supporting us in collecting that. And so this particular client was a financial institution, huge on data. So we had like a 92% response rate. And so you'll see we had a 25 to 39% improvement in each of these competencies. Again, self-reported, but it does demonstrate something to the client. It does show that there is some value and some impact. So there's research that talks about what are the most important job skills today, and 8 of the top 10 skills are people skills. You know, we've all heard that, and this is where I think the blended approach really shines. These are things that, you know, AI can't do: resilience, agility, leadership, communication, empathy, customer service, those kinds of skills. So I'd like to find out how many of you, just raise of hands, provide soft skills training, coaching, or OD consulting.
I'm driving, so I can't raise my hand, but I'm saying yes.
Oh, okay, good, thank you. Well, I'd like to do a quick poll here and just find out what are the kinds of services that you offer to your clients. So we're going to have Sean launch the poll and find out what most of you are doing here in terms of your delivery. So soft skills like leadership development, team building, customer service, individual coaching, group coaching, organization development, or something else. Okay, there's 15 of you, so we got a few more to answer here. I guess that looks like we're stuck on 11 people. 73% are participating. So shall we end it there? Okay, so most of you, 10 out of 11, are doing soft skills training such as leadership development, team building, customer service, individual coaching, 45% group coaching, 45% in OD 30. So yeah, we've got a nice balance here. So yeah, you're in the right place because this blended approach is really great for all of those kinds of learning. So why would you, as an external consultant, trainer, or coach who offers soft skills development, want to consider a blended approach? What I'd like to do is just share some examples of consultants that I've worked with that have gone through the process of converting their content and expertise into blended learning. So let's just start here. This is a real example of what we're talking about here. Laura is a leadership development consultant and trainer. She was delivering all of her programs in person. We worked together to convert one of her programs into a blended approach, and she ended up doubling her program revenue because we had a new pricing model. We reduced her delivery time from 10 hours to 3 hours, so about 70%. And the content didn't change. It was really just the delivery model. And the results for her clients were better than her in-person delivery. So let's see what this looked like. How did she do this? So before, she was limited in her ability to scale. She customized the programs for every client. She was traveling in the day before to deliver this full day program. And, you know, then she would leave either that night or the next day. And so there was the setup time, the breakdown time, and it really took her 2 days of time to deliver a 1 day program because she needed to come in the day before, deliver that 1 day, and then deliver or drive home or fly home, whatever it is, the next day. So that made scaling kind of difficult. She was charging $3,000 a day for her clients, and they, you know, tried to enroll as many people as possible to maximize their budget. And she got good evaluations. You know, she was an excellent trainer, really good facilitator, but there really wasn't a way to do the pre and post measurement to demonstrate the impact. So after we worked on converting her program, we spread it out over a week. So it was Monday to Friday. We had self-paced content, social community before and after 2 live 90-minute sessions. They were held on Tuesday and Friday. So it was Monday, Tuesday, asynchronous. Tuesday afternoon was the live session. And then Wednesday, Thursday was asynchronous content, and Friday was the live session. So instead of that full day of delivery, she had 3 hours of live delivery, and there was some time in between for responding to and moderating the social community. So this enabled her to have a greater capacity to work with more clients. And she also did offer access to the content afterwards for a period of time. So people could access some of the videos and worksheets if they didn't download everything. And she shifted from a daily rate to a per person fee. So that's how she doubled her revenue. She sold 11 of these to her clients in a year. So 11 times 3,000 a day would be 33,000, and she charged $4.99 a person. And there was on average about 12 leaders, and she did 11 programs, so her revenue was about 66,000. So that's how she was able to double her revenue. So blended is not cheaper. It's actually more expensive. One, because there's technology, there's admin, there's a lot of moving parts, and the clients get more, and it's stickier and more effective. So it costs more. And of course, the results with the pre and the post survey were much better than just her one session that she did live. So all of it was revenue doubled, zero travel, no setup, tear down, and better results. So since blended learning might be a change for both you and some of your clients, you may have some questions, concerns, or even fears about using this kind of approach. So we'd like to get some of those questions out on the table. And I'd like you to consider blended learning for any kind of training, coaching, or consulting process that you typically deliver. I know many people don't think of it for consulting, but I've done a program with a team building consultant who has the same standard process that's an intervention with his clients, and it works beautifully. So we're going to break you into groups and have you come up with 3 questions that you'd like answered. And in your group, please choose a scribe, somebody to write them down. And when we come back, post those questions in the chat, and then we'll answer those in the large group. So Sean, I'm wondering if we can give them about 7 minutes in the breakout rooms. And how many do we have? 14 people, so maybe 3 rooms, you think?
Okay, that works.
Diane, you want to recap what we're doing in the breakout again while he's doing that?
You are coming up with 3 questions that you would like answered about creating a blended online coaching, training, or consulting program.
Thank you.
Questions that you have if you haven't done this before. And if you have done it and you're in the group like Joe, maybe you can help them out. Or questions that you might have if you want to enhance your program.
Thank you.
All right, I am sending you to your rooms now.
All right, thank you. Okay, so Mark he's the only one who didn't join a room, right?
Yeah. Mark, are you joining?
Can you just move him there?
It doesn't
Or
let
they
me
have
move
to
to his assigned room. It may let me move to a different room. All right. It looks like Matt is leaving, so I'm gonna move Mark to room 2. There we go. No, that didn't work either. Okay. How many minutes do you want me to do? Because when I click close, it gives them 60 seconds. So however
Yeah,
you want me to
so
do it, subtract a minute.
let's give them well, they probably had about a minute now. So give them 6 minutes from now. So 4:47 or 5:47.
6 minutes. Okay.
So how are we doing? Any comments or feedback, things to change?
So it looks like Liz made a comment about love that mission and vision for each program. Great idea.
Yeah, I need to read some of these here. Let's see.
Some people were confused with the squiggle next to the 90. It was the approximate symbol, and I think they thought it meant negative, so maybe make the font bigger on that.
Yeah, thank you. I'll make a note of that. Yeah, because I'm going to do this again somewhere else. That's approximately okay.
Oh,
It
and
was so small on mine.
this is a this is my PTSD from having a director who, no matter how many times we explained it to him, no matter how many times going to like ATD conferences and sitting through like even the Ray Jimenez micro learning, he still always said micro learning were 2 to 4 minute videos. So sometimes I don't know if you ever get in these presentation folks who would just assume micro learning is automatically these, oh, it's like a 5 minute video or something like that.
Doesn't need to be a video. I mean, it could be just reading something and doing an exercise, So I
Yeah.
like to mix it up. Some people want to have a video on every single, little micro learning. And yeah, I don't do that because it's hard, it's very passive to watch videos. So if you have to read something and fill out a worksheet, it's much more engaging.
Yeah. In fact, like Ray was like great. He was like micro learning is like he's like I have like two things. It has to be at your fingertips. So it's like if you have to log in, like he's like I work a lot with like Walmart. He's like I work a lot with like factories and like plants. So he's like if you have to like leave the plant floor and log into an LMS, he's like that's wrong. That's not micro learning. And he's like so it has to be at your fingertips. It has to be immediately like applicable. Um, he was saying like Walmart, they were like, we don't know how to like deliver like quick training. And he's like, well, where does everybody go every day? And he's like, they're like, well, the bathroom or their locker. And he's like, all right, print it out, stick it to their lockers like every day. He's like, there's your micro learning.
That's
And
cool.
then
I love it.
he said like plants, like what he did was with the plants where he's like they already had these like iPads that they carried around with like that were linked to the company server. And he's like, and they had scanners they had like on them. So he's like, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to print QR codes and stick them like for fixing the different machines. He's like, we're going to stick the QR codes on like all the machines. So when you needed to fix the machines, you would take your iPad, you would scan the QR code, and it would walk you through how to fix the machine. He goes, some of these courses were like 2 hours, but it was micro learning because like I could scan it and would go right to the course on how to fix that particular machine, and I could fix it right then and there. I didn't have to log into an LMS and type in a course code and do all this other stuff.
It's right in your hand. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's literally at your fingertips. Like it's
Yeah, well, at Walmart they walk around with those. I don't know if they're their phones or if it's something else.
That's
But
true. Yeah, they
everybody,
have those
yeah,
now. Like this was
yeah,
this was like a while ago when I sat through his thing. I don't know, and I know Ray's been gone for a while, but
yeah. I mean that can work really well for, the things that are sort of on the job versus like leadership and soft skills. It requires more reflection. It requires like, writing things down and talking to other people, at least the good programs, right? I mean, there's a lot of
yeah,
online leadership content, but that's just information, it's not really
yeah.
applying.
But if it's like, okay, like, write something down that you're gonna do next month, you can't, it has to be like, what could you implement like today or like tomorrow to your job, like something like that. As a matter of fact, I actually like work with on my spare time work with like a startup, and before the whole rounding up of the immigrants in New York with the past mayor, um, we almost had some work with some restaurants, and we were actually going to put the QR code with a Middle Eastern restaurant because they're like, yeah, it's really hard to get to do training on the recipes because Middle Eastern restaurants, it's a lot of like tan and brown and red spices that all look different but taste, but you all look the same but taste very different.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
no matter where you go to a restaurant in New York, the people behind the line, they all speak Spanish, right? So you have to have like training in English and Spanish. And we're going to be like, all right, well, do you send out stuff on their phones? And they're like, yeah, they clock in on their phone, and we send out stuff for them, company handbooks on their phone. We're like, all right, we were going to do the same thing, like QR codes on their phone. So it's like, all right, new recipe, scan the QR code, scroll to the newest recipe, something like that. But then, of course, like a lot of those things dried up because they had they had other things to do, like retaining staff. So, all right, I'm going to give them the 60-second warning.
Okay. All right, and then I'll stop sharing when they come back, and we'll just have when we're answering questions, we don't need the slides up. So they need to type their questions in the chat. It would be good to have them there in case I need to answer some later.
Okay.
So maybe we
Works.
can do like one from each group
Okay.
and, kind of go around and see how much time we have to answer them. Yeah, so if you're the scribe for your group, please go ahead and type your questions in the chat. We'll try to answer as many of them as we can. So is somebody from one of the groups would like to, all right, here we
Oh,
go.
we see one there. How to take
Yeah.
30 hours of content to move to other clients. That was from
So what do
Larry.
you mean 30 hours of content to move to other clients? Could you say a little bit more about that?
I'm deferring to my partner, Ray. Ray, I think you have to unmute. Ray, you got to unmute.
Yeah,
So I've been working for the same organization for 25 years, developed content, have an agreement with them that is mine or co-owned. I can take it any place I want. And as I age and age out of working with them, I'd like to move to other forums, particularly here in the States, because most of my work is international.
Okay, so you have a 30-hour program.
Well, the program is bigger than that. I have 30 hours of content within a 2-week program.
Okay, so like 2 weeks live.
I'm going to mute
100%.
Ray real quick. I think it was a echo.
Okay.
I got you, Ray.
It's a 2-week live program that you're doing like on site, and you want to turn it into a blended program that you can use for other clients. Is that what you're asking? Now you're muted. Yeah. Sorry.
I do 30 hours within that 2-week program. So it's not all mine. It's
I understand, but it's a live program, like you're delivering it on site.
Yes.
You're muted. You're muted.
I think he's got an echo going, Brian.
Yeah, okay, so
We do some of
basically
it,
you would,
we do it most of it synchronously, and we do some of it asynchronously, and most of it is live face to face.
okay, so you would need to go through some kind of conversion process and probably make it a bit more generic, so that it applies to a variety of clients. And if you're doing some asynchronous, I would assume you have, something in a platform already. And I have an approach called transform learning that takes, what you're doing typically live, either live virtual or in person, and converts it into this program, or to the blended approach.
Interesting.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. Let's
Looks like
see.
Jim has a three-part question.
What is a good time frame to conduct these types of programs, day of the week and time? So we typically do any type of live sessions, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But it depends on what's good for the client. The asynchronous portions, they happen on the participants' time, so they choose when they want to do it. What is the optimal blend of different activities, components, and the value? Well, it really kind of depends on the content and the client, but I like to do almost a 50-50 ratio. So half, like especially for things like leadership, where there's a lot of content and time that they need to kind of let things soak in. So I'm not sure what you're meaning by components and the value. You mean like what should be asynchronous, what should be synchronous, what should be social community, and what's the value of each of those?
Yeah, so just really measuring the value of each of the different activities that you may have during a training session. So all the different components, whether that's live or online, or all the activities that go into both, and then um, the value of all of them, and which I guess
Yeah,
goes into
so
number three, right? Best ways to measure return on the investment from an engagement perspective.
yeah, so as far as the components, I tried to use as many as possible, have a lot of variety. And, typically with soft skills leadership programs, they tend to be longer. They're, more than a day. They could be something that's a week long that you're converting into several months. So the more variety, the better, because people learn in different ways, obviously, and it keeps their attention. So you don't necessarily need to rely on any one thing. Some clients like to have some things in person. So if that's important and that client is local to you, I always try to accommodate that, and have some things that are like if you have a two-session program, maybe the first one is live virtual and the second one is in person. The best ways to measure ROI. I mean, we're doing the level 3 self-reported measurement, and it's not easy to get people to do all the asynchronous and the live sessions, especially when they're spread out over 7 months. And if you're really getting into real ROI, obviously there's a lot more. But for every program, we identify competencies. So like a one-day program, I'll identify 4 competencies that are very simple and easy to measure before, after, and 3 months later. So that's what we're doing. To get more deeply into ROI, it takes more time and investment. So, I have not been doing much more than that. But even what I am doing is a lot more than some consultants are providing to clients. So it doesn't take a lot of time to do what we're doing with those, 4 competencies. And engagement, that's why you need the variety of methods. Some people are going to engage in the community and some people aren't. And pairing people up and doing that formally, assigning accountability partners, really works well. And you can have those accountability partners throughout the program. Like we have a 6-month, 7-month program, and they have the same accountability partner from the beginning until the end. So they really get to know each other, their team, their issues, and how to support each other. All right, what happens to our content if we go on your platform? Can you elaborate? So the platform that I use is not mine. It's a software as a service. So you would purchase the platform and it would be branded for your company. So your content is yours, is your proprietary information. I'm helping you, hand-holding you through the process to get it on there. So I'm not sure if that is your question, if I'm answering it. Is that what you wanted to know?
Yes, I think, Ray, did you want to add to that?
You're muted, Ray.
We were just wondering about your business model with working with people like us.
And people like you, meaning consultants, and how
Trainers.
we work together. Yeah, so I have a done with you and a done for you approach. And I prefer the done with you because it's much more collaborative. It's a lot of fun, very creative process. And so we're working on it together. I kind of have expertise in the process of conversion as well as in the platform. And together we're coming up with a lot of creative ways to make your content come alive in this blended format. And I'm happy to talk more, with you about Transform Learning. That's the product or the process we use, and the cost and how that works. If you'd like to do that, offline or separately, happy to do that. Okay, I put the question in ChatGPT and got so many questions. Big concern is the time and money to create and how to market. So yes, it does. It does take some time. When you have a partner like me, I've already got the process mapped out. So all you're doing is doing the steps in the process that I'm guiding you through, and I'm giving you feedback. So we work it in, little chunks and pieces over time. You can do it in as little as 60 days. I had somebody who took a coaching process. It was 6 months, and she took the first 3 months of coaching and turned it into a program where the final outcome or deliverable was an individual development plan. And she had a paying client who was doing this. So we had to get it done in 60 days, and we did. It depends on how much content you have, though. But yeah, time is something, but it's broken down into little assignments. So I would say, maybe a day's worth of content could be 10, 15 hours of your time to actually go through the process with me, because a lot of the things I'm doing for you, I'm uploading a lot of things into the platform, so you don't have to learn the tech and how all of that works. And obviously, yes, there is some expense to do that. And then marketing it, many of the consultants that I work with are marketing their programs to their existing clients. They're working with the people that they worked with before, and they're just saying, I have a new way of delivering it. And you can just lead with your blended program because it's probably going to be more profitable. And if the client doesn't want a blended program, you could give them a in person, or whatever, live virtual, 100%, whatever they want. But you can start out with, this is how I deliver my services. And yes, of course, it's helpful to do the marketing, but if you have existing clients, this is something that you can put out in front of them and get their feedback and plant the seed and see if they're interested in other content that you have that they may want you to convert to that approach. How do we do blended learning on a budget? I used to pay Thinkific a lot of money for programs that were used. What's the easiest lift in adding blended learning? So Thinkific, I don't know, it's probably like a monthly subscription, and I don't know how much that is these days, but yes, you do have to pay for a platform. The one that we use is $9.99 a year, $999 a year, or $99 a month. And it actually comes with some tools to run your business, like CRM. Let me find, yeah, it comes with a CRM, automations, a calendaring tool, website, sales pipeline, invoicing, social media scheduling. It does a ton of things. So this year I converted to this platform because it was much less expensive. I got rid of my active campaign, $4,000 a year. I got rid of my Acuity calendaring, 100 or whatever it is, $150 a year, something like that. I got rid of Zapier, $567 a year. So there's a lot of things that I can do now. I am hosting all my websites and sales pages on this platform. So it comes with the platform that we use, which is called Experientify. And
What's
it
the name
has
of
all kinds of,
the platform again? I'm sorry to interrupt you. The
I'm
name of
going
it
to
is?
type it in here.
Thank you.
Experientify. And I do have an affiliate link. I don't have that ready at the moment, but if you would like, I can share that with you. I get a little commission on it, not much. But I do like to support them because it's an awesome program or platform. So I would say, as far as this platform, it's very reasonable, very easy from a user perspective, and it comes with all these phenomenal tools to run your business. So I love it. I was using MyQuest previously. Actually, I still am. They're a lot more expensive, and I do like MyQuest. It has AI chatbot, all kinds of tools, but multiply that times 10 now. So when I started with MyQuest, it was not that expensive. Now it's cost prohibitive. So I'm not going to be using it a lot longer. Yeah, it's just $10,000 a year is too much.
Just
The,
real quick, does experience I don't know how to say it, Experientify, does it link to any maybe tools you might have already, like ClickUp or Slack or Asana or anything like that?
no, not that I'm aware. It's not a project management tool, like ClickUp or anything like that. No.
Okay.
Okay, the cost reward for adapting electronic tools to implement from traditional training. Well, I mean, you saw most consultants are able to recoup their investment with their first training that they sell. The consultants that I've worked with have all been able to recoup their investment. So that's a pretty easy win. You can do Google Classroom for free as 501c3. I'm doing for my career readiness camp for teens this summer. Yes, Google Classroom is not anywhere near as sophisticated as the tools that we're using. But yeah, I mean, if you're not for profit and you need to minimize the expenses, that's great. I feel like Zapier is beta quality for final launch prices.
Sorry, that's just my personal opinion of Zapier. Sorry if people like it.
Okay. Well, Zapier just connects like all the different things that you have, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, but I feel like you can find workarounds usually with other things and like cut Zapier out. I feel like it's a little
Yeah,
clunky.
yeah, it's true. The tool that I have with Experientify, I don't need Zapier anymore, and I love that. I love everything's in one place because I was paying for, as you heard, a lot of different tools that were very expensive. All right, you're using Zoho and Zapier. Okay, this has been great. Thank you. All right, any other questions that you would like to ask that we haven't answered? All right, then let me do my screen and we will continue on here. Well, thank you for all the questions. Those are great. So there's an opportunity here for you, and you could consider, what if you could reach twice as many or triple the number of clients that you're working with right now? That's what really blended learning offers. It's an opportunity to scale your business, earning more while working less. And scaling doesn't necessarily mean you need to add more people to your team. Laura certainly did not do that. So I'd like to share another example of a consultant who took a different approach without having to develop the content or find a platform. So this is Sandra Coker, and she has a number of clients who wanted leadership development, but their managers could not take time out in person for training during the workday. She works with a lot of smaller companies that have like less than 100 employees. And so she did not have the time or the interest to build a digital program from scratch. And so she licensed my company's Modern Managers Leadership Series. She leveraged our proven solution and didn't have to develop anything. And the Modern Managers Leadership Series is 7 programs. The best practices for leading hybrid and remote teams is one of them. And the other programs are like moving from bud to boss, leading with emotional intelligence, coaching skills, change and resilience, hybrid teams, etc. So she was able to run a public program with her clients, and she got certified and learned how to deliver our blended format. And what we did was we had a Fulcrum certified facilitator run the program, and then she was a participant and observer, and that's how she got certified. So she was able to generate enough revenue through the public program to cover the cost of licensing. So she had no out-of-pocket investment. And she used a state grant that funded the training for the small businesses. So it cost the small businesses nothing. It was a no-brainer. They paid 100% for the clients to go through those programs. It was like $2,500 or $3,000 a person, I think. And what ended up happening was those public program attendees referred several other clients. Some of them took the program in-house. And now she runs this program every year. So she was able to open up a new niche for her business. She created an in-demand product for her new as well as existing clients. And she even expanded from the manager training to a multi-tier program for 2 levels higher. So she was able to increase sales, and she had better outcomes for her clients who wouldn't otherwise be able to offer any kind of leadership training. So she saved years of development time. She had an incredible offering, and she was able to do this without any investment at all. So she actually licensed the MyQuest platform herself. So I had all my programs in MyQuest, and we just copied them over, and she got her own branded program platform and runs them there. So you can experience some real transformations using this approach, and therefore you can charge more because you're demonstrating proven results. And so I say blended is a premium solution because the clients get more and it's more effective. And we all know, transformation doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes time to practice those new skills. And that's what we try to build into the blended learning, because the programs that we conduct are over time. We're using spaced learning. The asynchronous gets the content in their mind. We're using flipped classroom. And so the mind is already beginning to process the content unconsciously. They're starting to notice things in their daily experience even before the live session. So the clients are, getting valuable and proven results, and they get more for their investment. So that's why you can charge more. And you can claim back some of your time. You can still tailor your programs to your specific client audience. And we recommend that you do this in the live session. So if you're working with patients or customers or clients or, guests. It doesn't matter. You can kind of change some of that language and do that customization in the live sessions. So what does this mean for consultants? Well, we certainly know that digital learning is here to stay, but it's not just digital only. It's really online content that works best when it's combined and reinforced by social interaction, coaching with real life application. So Blended is the sweet spot for these soft skills types of programs that integrate live, virtual, and in-person touch points, peer engagement, micro learning, which can outperform any single method in terms of engagement and learning retention. So if you only do live training, virtual, or live training in person, or just e-learning, Blended is always going to, outperform that. And of course, the impact and the efficiency really matter. You've got to provide flexibility to the learners to consume the content on their own time with those short live sessions that are going to fit into their workday, because then it's more likely that it will be consumed. And consultants who can deliver blended experience are well positioned to stand out. There's not that many, like independents who have that. And so it can save you time, increase your impact and profits. It provides a way for you to work smarter, not harder. And if the client doesn't want that, you don't have to deliver it blended. You can have a variety of ways to deliver your programs. So if today's session sparked any new ideas for you about scaling your expertise and rethinking your delivery model, you'll love my free mini course. It demonstrates the 5 elements in our blended learning approach, and it's called Offer a High Impact Digital Course Without the Technology Learning Curve. And it's a short guided experience. It's actually in the Experienceify platform. So it helps you explore how to grow your consulting, training, or coaching business without losing the high touch that your clients love. And there is also a guide that's of the same title that you can download. It's a PDF. So Sean, if you could just paste those links into the chat, or you can use the QR code to get the access to the free mini course if you'd like. It takes probably less than an hour to go through. If you really want to, apply it to yourself, if you just want to test it out and, go through quickly, it would be shorter. But there's a variety of ways to get in touch with me. I'm happy to talk with anyone, further if they're interested.
Yes, and we will. So we will be sharing the slides as well as this information as well. We'll be emailing it tomorrow.
Yeah, awesome. So if you have any further questions or anybody wants to stay on longer, I'm happy to do that. Or, we could certainly talk privately. And if not, thank you. Thank you for staying on till the end and appreciate all the questions. And
Awesome.
all of your participation. Yeah.
Any other questions before we bounce? All right. Well, we'll have the survey out tomorrow and along with the information on how to contact Diane. Diane, thanks again for your time tonight.
All right. Thank you. This was fun.
All right. Bye, all.